Plaintiff Roxanne Cara Christie says she's a bird lover who also works at a bird sanctuary. Roxanne claims the defendant came into the sanctuary one day, tried to steal a bird, and then assaulted her when she tried to stop him. So she's suing for her medical bills and pain and suffering. Defendant Steve Gindra admits that he went into the bird sanctuary on the day in question, but insists it was because he heard they were mistreating birds. Steve says the sanctuary owner gave him permission to take the bird, and he denies assaulting Roxanne. He's countersuing for legal fees.
Start with you.
Judge, I've been a bird lover for the last 8 years. That's when I've got my first bird. I'm passionate about them now. Because of that, I started volunteering at a bird sanctuary in Edgerton, Wisconsin. What we do there is we rescue, try to rehabilitate abused, abandoned, neglected birds. And some people will surrender their birds to us when they can't take care of them anymore. I have some pictures here of the sanctuary. And also some
he
of the
had something
birds.
to do with the bird, or?
Yes. In November of '07, he surrendered his green-winged macaw, JJ, to the sanctuary. And we were looking at the bird at the time.
This is his?
This is his birds here.
Let's see.
Okay.
Thank you. Then he surrendered them to you for?
To adopt out. He couldn't keep them anymore. He said that JJ was biting his wife. We looked at the bird.
JJ was biting what?
He had bitten my wife on 2 occasions in a small way, but the third bite that actually occurred was a bad enough bite that one of the 2 had to go, and it was a
one of the 2.
Well,
either
the
your
gal
wife or
or
the bird. You actually considered that at one point.
I saw
Who
it
should
as
go,
that.
the bird or the wife?
I flipped a coin, and the bird had to go.
So you turned in your old bird for a young bird? Is that? I'm trying to understand.
I've been a bird lover since '92, and had birds in and out of my life as a young boy.
That's what I'm asking. You like old birds or young birds?
I love them all.
Okay.
I disagree with his last statement.
He likes old birds, don't
That
he?
he loves them all. When he brought JJ in, we saw the bruises on his beak. And we asked him what the bruises were from, and he laughed and he said, "I believe in tough love." I don't believe in tough love on a defenseless animal. The bird had been plucking itself, which is another sign that it's unhappy. And if he's had birds since he was a young child, he knows that if you have a bird, you're going to get bit.
Is that true?
You will possibly really get bit, and
is that the norm?
The normal, yes, it could be. When she speaks of my tough love, my birds are not caged whatsoever. They're birds that
Sir,
live
if you
in a
knew
house.
this bird, if you knew birds of this type are inclined to bite people, then you assume the risk, you and your wife, when you took in the bird. So I agree with her. Anything else you want to tell me about the bird before we get to the medical bills?
This sanctuary is a sanctuary that I found out after I had taken the JJ, the green-winged macaw, to them, was a sanctuary that actually eliminates and kills birds.
Untrue.
Yeah, it is. And
you better be sure about that.
They've been under scrutiny by the Dane County sheriffs for
All right, you
years.
better hope you know what you're talking about, because if you don't, you stated this as a fact, not as an opinion. So when you state something that is a fact about a person that is determined to be untrue, and the result is that it damaged their reputation, then, sir, that's defamation.
No, this is totally untrue.
Good enough. Ma'am, let's get to the medical bills, please.
He came into the sanctuary on April 8th of last year. I was there as a volunteer. He said that he was coming to take JJ out because he didn't want him there anymore. We told him he couldn't take JJ because he had signed a release. And then he grabbed JJ out of the cage, started out the door, and I tried to stop him. I stood in the doorway. I have the police report here where he admits by the Post-it note, where he admits to pushing me around. I stood in the doorway and I braced myself so that he couldn't get out. I have pictures of the bruises. and the thing, he was going like this, trying to reach for the door
What
handle.
ultimately happened? Did
Nothing
you
happened
suffer?
with the assault.
All right. Did you have to go to the hospital? You're suing for medical bills. So
The next day I went to the doctor, and they did tests
You have the
and
medical bills
x-rays.
with you?
I have all of
Is
those.
this a black eye? No, these are your sunglasses.
No, that's right here where he was.
Right. What do you mean nothing
Joanne.
came of the assault? You didn't press charges?
I did try to press charges, and they didn't charge. The police officer told me if I hadn't tried to stop him, I would not have gotten hurt. Well, he was stealing something
You have
from
a
us.
right, that's what I was about to say. You have a right to attempt to stop someone who is stealing your items, but
Right.
you do not have a right to block the path of someone who is not taking any of your possessions. Sir, why don't you tell me about what happened?
On that date, I went in and basically went straight over to the owner of the sanctuary, and I said, "I've heard nothing but ill will that you've put on the birds. Where's JJ?" And he pointed over to the bird cage, and he said, "See if you can get him." And I walked right over, I opened up the cage, and I put my arm out, and I said, "Step up, JJ." He jumped right up on me. At that juncture, I walked over to the door, and Roxanne came over to the door and said, "Wait a minute," and kind of put her hand up, if you will, against the door where the...
She's actually blocked you. Go ahead.
I had JJ in my arm right here. Roxanne was right here. And I realized I hit the doorknob. At first, I thought she was blocking the doorknob. I had the doorknob. I just twisted it open, and we left. And the whole ordeal was 2 minutes.
All right. So you're saying you didn't touch her at all?
Not one iota. Not even a touch. Other than I told her I was taking the bird.
That is
She
so
said, "You're not
untrue.
going anywhere with that bird." And I said, "I'm going."
You have your medical bills? Your counterclaim, $1,777 for legal fees.
Yes, sir.
How so?
Well, if you read Roxanne's complaint, she said that she felt I had gotten a slap on the hand, and she was after more money, obviously. And that's what her whole demeanor on this whole play is, what I believe is the reason why we're here.
You told me that I should read the complaint, and she stated something in the complaint that would contradict something. Well, instead, I decided I would read the police report, where you gave the statement to the police. Your statement to the police was, Ginger then did admit to physically pulling Roxanne out of the doorway and pushing her aside. That's what you told the police, sir?
I never said that to the police.
Okay.
The
No, I choose to believe them over you. All right.
Yes.
And so I'll grant your judgment, ma'am, $1,577 for your medical bills, and I'll grant you $1,000 for pain and suffering, and that is $2,577. Your claim for legal fees is dismissed. You indeed needed a lawyer, and as a result, it wasn't a frivolous lawsuit. You only get legal fees when someone has sued you frivolously and maliciously. In this case, it was a meritorious lawsuit because you did put your hand on her by your admission to the police. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Judge. He had been stolen. The police recovered him. Since then, he has been adopted by a wonderful family, and he's doing just great. The woman that had him was the woman that had applied for him, and her adoption was denied.
In actuality, they wanted more money for that bird, to get rid of that bird. That's part of their business, and they didn't want her having that bird.
That's untrue.